Sanye Joda Zoge Jonamna, Janjo Bado Dane Yazuji, Dage Jin Soge Besu. Dola Benjur Sanye Dubare Jo, Sanye Joda Zoge Jonamna, Janjo Bado. Dage Jin Soge Besu Namye, Dola Benjur Sanye Dubare Jo. Sanye Joda Zoge Jonamla, Janjo Bardo Dane Yazuchi, Dage Jin Soge Besona, Dola Benjur Sanye Dubare Jo. Om Ye Dharma Hetu Prabhavam Hetum Tesham Dathagato Yavatat Desham Chayo Nirodha Evam Bhati Mahashramanaye Swaha Om Ye Dharma Hetu Prabhavam Hetum Tesham Dathagato Yavatat Desham Chayo Nirona Evam Bhat Mahashramanaye Swaha Om Ye Dharma Hetu Prabhavam Hetum Tesham Dathagato Yavatat Desham Chayo Nirodha Evam Bhati Mahashramanaye Swaha. All phenomena arise from causes. The causes are taught by the Tathagata. The cessation causes as well as taught by the grace here. Yatha Om Gate Gate Paragate Parasamgate Bodhiswatyata Gate Paragate Parasamgate Bodhiswatyata Om Gate Gate Paragate Parasamgate Bodhiswaha. Okay, we'll read the foundation of all good qualities as the roadmap, the foundation for our Dharma practice. In English, page 42. The foundation of all good qualities by Lama Tsongkhapa. The foundation of all good qualities is a kind and perfect pure Guru. Correct devotion to him is the root of the path. By clearly seeing this and applying great effort, please bless me to rely upon him with great respect. Understanding that the precious freedom of this rebirth is found only once, is greatly meaningful and is difficult to find again. Please bless me to generate a mind that unceasingly day and night takes its essence. This life is as impermanent as a water bubble. Remember how quickly decays and death comes. After that, just like a shadow follows the body, the results of virtues and non-virtues come and follow. Finding firm and definite conviction in this, please bless me always to be careful to abandon even the slightest negativity and accomplish all virtuous deeds. Samsaric splendors are unsatisfying and unreliable. Seeking them is a door to all suffering. Recognizing these shortcomings, please bless me to gender a strong wish for the bliss of liberation. Led by this pure thought, mindfulness, alert and Krishna arise. The root of the teaching is keeping the breath of moksha vows. Please bless me to accomplish this essential practice. Just as I have fallen into the sea of samsara, so for all mother my creature beings. Please bless me to see this, train in supreme bodhicitta, and bear the responsibility of freeing my creature beings. Even if developed bodhicitta, but I don't practice the three types of morality, I'll not achieve enlightenment. With the clear recognition of this, Please bless me to practice the Bodhisattva vows with great energy. Once I pacify distractions to wrong objects and correctly analyze the meaning of reality, please bless me to generate quickly within my mind stream the unified part of Karma by special insight. Having become a pure vessel by training the general path, please bless me to enter the holy gate of the fortunate ones, the Supreme Vajra vehicle. At that time, the basis of accomplishing true attainments is keeping pure vows and samaya. As I become firmly convinced of this, please bless me to protect these vows and will pledge like my life. Then, having realized the importance of the true stages, essence of Vajrayana, by practicing with great energy, never giving up the 4 sessions, please bless me to realize the teachings of the Holy Guru. Like that, may the Gurus who showed the noble path and the special friends who practice their long lives, please bless me to pacify completely all outer and inner hindrances. In all my lives, never separate from perfect Gurus, to enjoy the manifested Dharma by completing the qualities of stations of the path and could attain the state of Vajradhara. Okay. So where we left the first session was how the subtle stains referred as cognitive obscurations. Some examples will be given. 1, the inactive seeds of the afflictions, inactive seeds of contaminant karmas, and also the appearance of true existence. All these discussions, debates are there, whether the true appearance of the true existence per se is cognitive obscuration or is the indication of the cognitive obscurations. These are different. For example, the fire and the heat of the fire. Heat of the fire is not the fire. Heat of the fire is indicative of the fire. Likewise, this appearance of true existence, whether itself is a cognitive obscuration or is the heat, is like the indication of cognitive obscuration. To say that, oh, you still have a cognitive obscuration, look at this, you have this, the appearance of true existence. So these nuances are there. Don't worry. The point is that when you have the appearance of true existence, yes, arhats have. Arhats, they have the appearance of true existence, although they don't apprehend true existence. They have the appearance of true existence. They have the subtle self-centered attitude, and they have the imprint of the inactive imprints of the contaminant karmas and afflictions. And what exactly is the cognitive obscuration? So, whether each of these are the cognitive obscurations, appearance of true existence, which the arhats have, which the Buddhists don't have. Say, for example, when you look with the blue glasses on, you look at the white snow, you invariably see blue snow. But that you don't believe in this appearance. The appearance takes place. Wrong appearance takes place. Likewise, appearance of true existence. It takes place in the case of the arhats. They don't have the belief that things exist truly. They don't apprehend things as truly existent. They already eradicated the believing and apprehending things as real. But appearance is there. 1. Number 2, that this subtle self-centered attitude is also there. 2. Number 3, that they have the inactive seeds of the contaminant karmas and afflictions. Inactive seeds are there. 3. These 3 things are there. 3 things are there. Then what exactly is that these 3 things? Are all these 3 things cognitive obscuration? This is a huge discussion. But what means whether they are cognitive or not, as long as you have these 3 things, you have the cognitive obscurations. This is what we can say with great the confidence. 1. Then the next is that they say how do you decide? When we have any of these 3 things, we do have cognitive obscurations. We cannot see all phenomena simultaneously. So, Lama Tsongkhapa, in his text, Umagombarapsal, the commentary on Acharya Chandraviti's text, so there he very clearly indicated that the afflictions, they have the imprints. afflictions, which fall under afflictive obscurations. They have imprints, and they have like seeds, and I said that okay, they have the latencies. Afflictions have the latencies, and the latencies there are two. One is of the seed, and one is non-seed. In other words, latencies which is gross active, and the inactive latencies are there. And cognitive obscuration constitute the second part. Second part meaning, which is inactive latencies. Okay, this is what you find in the in Lama Tsongkhapa's text, and then the other scholars, some say that you have this the imprint, ignorance, not seeing the truth simultaneously. So that is counter. There are so many versions. So simply don't worry. What we need to know is that when we are yet to become Buddha, we have these three problems. Though you attain nirvana, you have these three problems. One is appearance of true existence. Number two is subtle self-centered attitude. Number three is the inactive seeds or inactive latencies of the contaminant karmas and afflictions. These three things are there. When anybody who has these three things, the person is not fully enlightened. The person is not Buddha. This is what we can be sure. The next point is the next question is how is it that if you have these three things, then these three things block you from seeing all phenomena directly. Cognitive obscuration means what obstructs you from cognizing all phenomena directly. Cognitive obscurations means the obscuration which obstructs you from seeing all phenomena directly. This is the meaning of the cognitive obscurations. How these three things stop us from stopping to see all phenomena directly. This question. And if you don't have this answer, if you don't get this answer, then do you really have the understanding of the Buddhahood? If you don't have the understanding of Buddhahood, when you say, may I become Buddha for the benefit of sentient beings, those intelligent people. So usually we see that there are two kinds of people. One who's intelligent and one is not so intelligent. Intelligent people, when they say that I must do this, they must gain conviction in the efficacy of that. If they are not convinced without the Buddhahood is feasible, then one will not have this desire to attain this. So, in the case of this is the reason why in the case of the intelligent bodhisattvas, they should see emptiness first, followed by genuine bodhicitta. Whereas for the less sharp faculty bodhisattvas, they genuine bodhicitta first, followed by seeing emptiness. Okay, this variation happens because of that degree of the intelligence. Okay, so what about if you don't know how these three things, the presence of which stops you from seeing all phenomena directly, then how can we have people like us? How can we have a sense of aspiration? May I become Buddha for the benefit of sentient beings? Okay, so therefore it's so important for us to know how these three things obstruct us from attaining Buddhahood. Okay, this is going to be homework for you. Homework for you, and you can, you Google search it, or you can ask your teachers, whatever, and give the answer to me before 8. Right? Okay. So with this, what we said is that the true nature of mind, when all the mental developments are gone, then the purity manifests. The purity manifests within you. That is the Mahamoudra. So we say all sentient beings, they have in a way like the Mahamoudra in the seed form, like a treasure hidden under the mental defilements. Okay, so for that matter, we need to let the mind assume its true nature. Let the mind assume its true nature, and for this, there are many techniques by which to do that. Say, one is like invoking the blessings of the Guru, purely invoking the blessings of the Guru, and then what is known as the Dzogchen practice, purely invoking the blessings of the Guru, and then the true nature of the mind, the Rigpa or the awareness, is manifested. That is primarily through invoking the blessings of the Guru. All the Gurus in your lineage of this teaching, you invoke them, the blessings, and then when you continue with your practice, when your mental defilements are cleansed, then the Rigpa, the awareness, is manifested. Another technique is by employing the subtle energy and the subtle mind. Energy connoting the physical body, and the mind, of course, connoting the non-tangible, the phenomenon, experience. And these were very closely connected. And thus far, what we see is that, for example, let's say, sometimes what we do is that we try to change the thinking to change the physiology or the energy. And sometimes we change the energy to change the thinking. So this happens both ways. For example, when you go through mental stress, mental depression, then you go to take antidepressants. So the antidepressants, they try to manipulate your energy, your physiology, particularly the brain. Manipulate the brain, and then because of this, your thinking, the stressful thought, the depressive thought, they subside. That is numbed. And sometimes taking alcohol can also numb your depressive thoughts. So this here, by modifying the anatomy, not the anatomy, by modifying the physiology related to energy, you modify the mind. In other words, by modifying the body, you modify the mind. Otherwise, for example, say the counseling. Counseling is all modifying the mind to modify your physiology. You give, say, for example, okay, don't worry. No, I assure you, this bad thing will not happen to you. Don't worry. This is how you have to think, like this. And for example, you're by yourself. Don't think I'm lonely. You think of that, I have privacy, right? When you're alone, what will you think? You think of, I don't have privacy, or I'm lonely. Both are possible. Right? So there's no hard and fast rule to say that you have to think of privacy. Some people can think, I'm lonely. Right? And some people say, no, there's so much privacy. So, when you feel so lonely, then the counselor may advise you, you're so lucky, you have so much privacy. Oh, that's true. When I was young, I must be age 16 or 17, in a school. Which means my classmates. They were all most of them were my classmates since we were age 5, 6. So many years of being classmates. And then at age, when we reached class 9, age 15, 16, but no class 9, class 11, when I was like age 17 or 18. So there, many of my childhood friends, they tried to form their own groups, and then I was left alone. And I started to feel a little lonely. Then I went to my teacher, and of course now I realized that this is amazing. He's a great philosopher, he's a great psychologist. Then he said that, Dorji, Don't feel sad. Your classmates not mixing with you, that they're going by themselves. This is a big compliment to you. Big compliment to you. No, this is not a compliment. And he said, yes, it's a big compliment to you. I said, how? He said that at this age, people become very complicated. Age 16, 17, 18, right? Boys, they want to go for drinks. They want to go for alcohol, right? Somehow they know that from your behavior, they know that you are not going to alcohol. You are not going into smoking. You are not going to into the drugs. And they feel that you are a disturbance for them. So they don't want to be with you. So if you're with them, then they're immobilized. They cannot do what they like to do, right? So therefore, it's not a deliberate attempt to isolate you, but for them to get some freedom, right? So it's in a way saying that you're a good boy, right? Oh, that's nice. That's true. So for the next day, when my friends, they try to, during the break time, they go on their own, I feel so happy. Okay. Instead of feeling lonely, I feel so happy. So no, this is where they say that my teacher's ability to say they see various aspects of the reality and give one way of looking at things, outlook of things, that brings about a change in my physiology, where earlier felt like vacuum, loss, now feeling so full, joyful, happy, pleasant feeling. So this is when thinking affects the physiology. Sometimes physiology affects the thinking, sometimes both ways. Okay, so now there's one technique whereby to activate this subtle clear-light mind by manipulating the subtle energy. You manipulate energy that the mind is affected. So when the subtle energy is manipulated in an extremely, there is a tactful way, if you do it, and if you don't do it properly, it can damage your whole existence. Of course, it requires a lot of merit and support. Okay, so there, manipulating the energy by means of meditation, then your mind is, okay, the first manipulating your mind, and then mind manipulating the energy, and energy manipulating the mind. That happens. But this, the power of the concentration manipulates the energy, and the energy manipulates your mind, and the subtle clear-light mind is manifested. This is another technique. And for all these, that to learn about these things is one thing, and to experience that is different. To experience, you need a lot of merit accumulation. And for example, say like all these mundo, they are so important. Mundo meaning preliminary practices. The refuge, bodhicitta, mandala offering, guru puja, the vajrasattva recitation, prostrations, offerings, all these things are so important. And to really feel this, what is the desired, say the maneuvering of the energy and the mind is happening. Okay, this is one thing. And the next is this Mahamoudra, where simply observing the mind, just observing the mind very tactfully, then the clear mind is manifested. So it's for this reason that the great teacher, Benjolo Sangchuiken, incredibly great teacher. Wow, that's amazing. He's amazing. So you read his text, you can see that he's a highly realized practitioner, extremely realized, accomplished master. Amazing. Wow. It simply exudes the compassion from his writings. Exudes compassion. Exudes humility. and exudes the depth of scholarship and exudes experience. That's amazing. Penjulu Sanshi is an amazing, great teacher. Yeah. So so this text which we are doing, the Mahamoudra, is according. Of course, it came from the great saint Saraha. Then, the master Tiloban, master Naruba. Then Marba, Milla, Tabulachen, all these great teachers, and eventually down to the Penjulu Sanchuye. This is how we got. And of course, there is, the same thing from Marba, Milla, and so it is like, they say this. If, for example, same teacher goes down to students, and the students they have their own students. This is how we, the message is the same. It's the same message. It's the same. Finally, job is to become Buddha. It doesn't matter which tradition, whether it's Chinese tradition, Tibetan tradition, Kaikyu, Nyingma, Gelug, Sakya. It doesn't matter. When you become Buddha, that's your job, right? When you become Buddha, you are not Sakya, Kaikyu, Nyingma, anything, right? When you become Buddha, you are a Buddha. That's it. Buddha Shakyamuni, he is not Theravadin, he is not a Mahayana, he is not Tibetan Buddhism follower, he is not Chinese Buddhism follower. He is a Buddha. Who is the supreme, what do you call it? The supreme patriarch or matriarch, whatever. He's the supreme, right? Above all. Okay. So this is our job. So with this in mind, the first thing, before we go to very high teachings, the first thing that we need to do is how to transcend these, say, the divisions. These divisions. Okay, I'm Gelug, this is this tradition, that tradition. I'm Sakya, this from this, and I'm Kakyu, this is this tradition. I'm Nyingma, this is poison. This poison, just appreciate anybody who practices compassion. Anybody who practices bodhicitta, anybody who practices dzogchen, anybody genuine dzogchen, anybody who practices genuine Mahamoudra, just rejoice in them. Just feel that, wow, it's amazing. There's somebody who's working to become Buddha for the benefit of sentient beings. So precious. And if for that reason, if you start to feel this division, in fact, in my mind, it never occurred that I'm Gelug. And some people, they said, oh, Geshe-la, he is from Gelug. I'm just confused, right? I'm always teaching the Nalanda tradition, what Nalanda masters teach. I said, Chandrakirti's text, Are Nagarjuna's text, Bodhisattva Sharideva's text, Are Deva's text, and so forth. And somebody says, he's Gelug. So that is the clear indication of the naivety. Clear indication of naivety. Just appreciate anybody who proceeds. First of all, anybody, who proceeds to become Buddha for the benefit of sentient beings. Number one, it doesn't matter what tradition. Tradition is just like the boat. With the boat, your job is to get to the shore. After the shore, tradition makes no sense. Boat doesn't make any sense. Right? You have to leave the boat. If you're attached to the boat, still you have not gone to the purpose of having the boat. The purpose of the boat is not to carry the boat. Leave the boat and go to offshore. That's the purpose. Okay. So with this tradition is so precious. And somehow in my mind, since joining the monastery, Institute of Buddhist Dialectics, somehow I feel so close to the Kagyu tradition, because one of the classmates, he was a Kagyu teacher and a highly respected Kagyu teacher, and that somehow through him, and I feel so connected. Reading which is Milareva's biography, reading biography which is Marpa, reading biography which is Milareva's student, Rechungpa, all these things. So that way, in one time, it was, I think we were here, perhaps like 14 years ago, when I was traveling with His Holiness as a part of the entourage. One day his Holiness just casually asked me, what practice do you do, Dorji? This is what his students asked me. Then I just casually cited this, the Kagyu verse from the Kagyu lineage, written by His Holiness himself, which is actually included here. I cited this and said that the one which Your Holiness wrote on Kagyu, that is very appealing to me. And then he said, okay, so you're going to, so you are a practitioner of Kagyu, something like this, understand it. Yeah. So, this is, all traditions are so precious. And if this division is coming to your mind, let us remember that there is a poison. What poison? Poison against the Dharma. Poison against the Buddha Dharma. Poisons against Nirvana. Poison against Buddhahood. Which means that what you're doing is not for Buddhahood, it is away from Buddhahood. If the division is coming to your mind, that is so poisonous. Let us stay away from that. Okay. So with this, now the mind. Finally, we see that from what we have learned thus far is that the mind in its true form, that is the Mahamoudra. But what we see is that mind is not in its true form. Mind is so much defiled. So for that, one technique by which to activate the true form of the mind, true nature of the mind, is the Mahamoudra. So for that, it is how to say the first of all, identify this mind. Identify the mind. This is so important. And given that this teaching has two parts, one, how to identify the mind, and number two is how to identify the mind is identifying the conventional true nature of the mind. Once you identify that, the next is seeing the ultimate true nature of the mind. Two, conventional true nature of the mind. Second part is the ultimate true nature of the mind. Two. And the ultimate true nature of the mind, it involves laws of studies, emptiness. So because of this, if I were to wait till last, after the completion of the identifying the true nature of your own, the mind, conventional true nature of the mind, then it's going to be very short duration for the ultimate nature of the mind. So for that matter, and where the NCC teaching is happening, if the NCC, Nalanda Certificate course from Tibet House, if that is happening, we'll have only 2 classes. If you don't, then for NCC, feel free to come, join us if you're interested. So today it is on the continuation from the law of karma. So the next is on emptiness. Okay, that's perfect. How? I'm thinking of doing the emptiness as a part of the second half of the Mahamoudra is on emptiness. And the NCC also, it corresponds to emptiness, about like 4 or 5 sessions. So which means while I'm here. Okay, that's good. So feel free to join us. That way the understanding of the Mahamoudra will be more clear. It will be clearer. Okay. And so this is what I'm trying to do. From the 3 sessions a day, like sometimes 1 session, sometimes 2 sessions dedicated on emptiness, and then closer towards the end, we will then put together how to see the subjective clear light in Mahamoudra, seeing the objective clear light to get the complete picture of the Mahamoudra. Okay, this is what is expected. For this, the first part is identifying the true nature of your mind. Okay, ready? Just sit upright. Sit upright, sit properly. Okay. For this, what I'm sharing with you, when you are here in the Kalachakra Center, you do it, I would say there's not much danger. But when you're by yourself, you should have the preliminary practices intact. For example, a little bit of samadhi meditation, otherwise like breathing meditation and so forth, and that do successfully. Then also the study of the Buddhist psychology. So these two must be there alongside on a daily basis, like making prostrations, making offerings, confessing, mother offering. So these things must always go along with your the daily chores. Then if you do that, if all these things are intact, then if you are interested to actually specialize in this meditation, I'll be most happy. Whereas if these things are not happening, what I would suggest that you can learn about this, and that in the future you will not fall, fall prey to somebody else just teaching you directly. You can meditate. No, it's not that easy. It's not that easy. Okay. With this in mind, the first is to know the nature of the mind. What is mind? This question. What's the mind? And so mind is not a physical entity. It's a non-tangible entity. Yet it is an empirical reality. Empirical reality means a reality which we can experience. Nobody can deny its existence. For example, I'm happy. I'm not happy. Or today I feel fresh. I don't feel fresh. All these things are your undeniable experiences. And this is something which we cannot deny. Whereas we talk about, let's say that, there's a consciousness there, which is ultimate, which pervades everywhere. No, that I cannot. I have no access to this. So some traditions, they talk about such consciousness which pervades everywhere, which is cosmic and so forth. I don't have any access to this. But I'm sad, I'm not sad, I'm happy, I'm not. This is accessible. What is accessible to you is known as empirical reality. So this empirical consciousness, empirical mind. So what is this mind? This mind, first we should know the definition. And then we have to try to meditate on this. The how to meditate on this. Identify this mind. Okay. Sit upright. Okay, mind is so subtle that you cannot see that, and then meanwhile you can fall asleep. Right? Okay. So what is mind? Mind and don't close your eyes. Keep your eyes wide open. Good. And listen to me. Don't open your eyes. Don't close your eyes. Okay. The mind, when we say mind, that you have Asian inside you. I'm happy. I'm not happy. Okay, I'm a little stressed. I feel too hot. Right? No, it's fine. So there's some Asian there which feels all these. How many agree with me? Raise your hands. Are you good? Yes, it is undeniably there. It exists there. But when we ask, what is that like? Then we are lost. When I was 19, 20, when I first joined the Institute of Buddhist Texts, I was so keen, what is this mind like? And I asked my teacher, Venerable Gyalpa Rinpoche, who was like 30, 40 years in the mountains meditating, just as a solitary retreatant. Of course, he was every day meditating on this. So for him, it was like seeing a flower. I asked him, sir, what is this mind like? And he said, Dorji, don't you see like a mirror inside you, where any reflection can be formed, like a mirror? Don't you see like this? And I try to see nothing's there. It's a mirror, nothing. Okay. So this was because I was totally inexperienced. And my teacher, who was just meditating on this for all these many years. So what is this like? Is the first, let me give you one analogy. Why we can't see the mind now is because that our mind is so addicted to seeing the physical gross objects, tangible gross objects. Okay. Do you agree with me that somebody who takes huge amount of salt every day in the food. Let's say the 10, I don't know, Dr. Patrick, so what would be the amount of the salt intake, like average? What should be like 1 gram, 2 gram, half a gram? Anyone, any idea?
Maximum 6.
Maximum? 5 grams. In a day? In a day? Okay, let's say 5 grams a day. Let's say 5 grams a day. And some people, they take like 15, 20 grams. If it's 5 gram, normal, then some people take 15, 20 grams. You know such people? Yes. One time I prepared food and it was quite salty. And my friends, I made momos. Not the non-veg momos, veg momos. And then I've one of my two extremely close to Indian friends, couple, who came to see me from far away. And I gave them, and it was already little salty. And particularly the gentleman, the husband, who ate it, and he asked, Geshe, can I have more salt? Okay, he must be taking like, if 5 gram is the average standard, then he must be taking like minimum 15 gram or 20 gram. Okay, now, do you agree with me that somebody who takes 20 grams of salt every day, for that person, 1 gram of salt is no salt? You agree with me? 1 gram of salt, there's no salt. For him, there's no distinction. He cannot make distinction between what is 0 salt and what is 1 gram salt. You agree with me or not? Yes. So we are all into taking 20 grams of salt every day. Very gross. We are all about the gross objects. No subtle objects. Our mind is always after the gross objects. The flour is good, cheesecake is good, oh, today's food is so good, right? Oh, today the weather is so good, look. Oh, the cute flower, right? Cute flower. Oh, you look so nice today, right? And I'm already 55, somebody will say, oh, Geshe, you look like 30. Right? It's all about physical things. It's all about physical things. It's all about physical things. And some people there who are more audacious will say, Geshe, how old are you? Then I say, guess. He will say that. Then he himself was, that time, 67. And I was in my 40s, not 50. I was in my 40s. And I did not ask his age. He told me his own age. I'm 67, I'm feeling tired and so forth. Then he asked, how old are you? I'm 70 years old, 70. He said, no, you're not 70. He said, how old are you? I said, 70. No. Then I said, tell me, how old are you? Guess. I told him, guess. I was in my 40s. I said, you look like 65. Okay, so what I'm saying is that our mind is so addicted to the solid objects everywhere. Sleep, solid object. Wake up, solid object. Everything solid. Food, music, all 5 sensory objects. So this is like taking a very high quantity of salt. When you are taking high quantity of salt, 1 gram of salt is no salt for you. We cannot make distinction between no salt and 1 gram of salt. So mind is like a very intangible phenomena. Mind is a very intangible phenomenon. It's not solid. It's not tangible. It's like 1 gram of salt. It's very intangible. It's next to the non-existent. So, your mind, you don't see this. It's not like non-existent because our mind is so addicted to the concrete, tangible, solid objects that we are yet to develop the skill to see the subtler objects, subtler amount of salt, to taste the subtler amount of salt. You getting it? This is what our mind is. So therefore we need training to see the subtler mind. Okay, how to do that? That mind which we are to see, which is very subtle, which we, at the moment we don't have that provision to see this mind. But we can train and eventually see this. So for that matter, this mind, it is defined as, very unanimously, it is defined as clear and knowing agent. Clear, C-L-E-A-R, clear. Clear and knowing agent. So what is this clear and knowing agent? We have to feel it. What is clear and knowing? That is we have to see that. The first, the clarity, the clear. Clear. The mirror. If the mirror is very dusty, if the mirror is not clear, if the mirror is very dusty, so much dust here, it's not clear, do you think that the image can be formed? No image can be formed. Which means for the mirror to have a very clear image, the mirror itself must be very clear. How many of you agree with mirror sense? Good. Likewise, where is it? Here, down the pond, the small lake there. On the lake, say in the night, to see the reflection of the moon. If the lake is covered by leaves, dust, and so forth, you can't expect to see the reflection of the moon there. So to see the reflection of the moon there very clearly, the surface of the lake must be very clear. You agree with me? Good. Okay. Now, what we do is that we sit up properly. Sit up properly. Okay. If possible, with your hands on the Vajrayana posture. And, okay, just for the purpose of identifying, just for the purpose of understanding what is clear knowing, for that purpose, close your eyes. Otherwise, in a meditation, general meditation, you are not to close your eyes. Okay, for this purpose, close your eyes and think of, say, blue flower, fresh blue flower. Okay, now open your eyes. Open eyes. Did you see a blue flower? Or an image of a blue flower? Okay, is that a real blue flower? Is that an image of a blue flower? That's the image of blue flower. How many agree with mirror sense? Good. So the image is formed. Image is formed somewhere. Right? Image is formed. It's not a real blue flower, but the image of blue flower is formed. Which means that wherever the image is formed, that object must be very clear. If it's not clear, the image cannot be formed. Like the image in the mirror, image on the water body. For the image to be formed, the surface of the object must be very clear. You already said it. Likewise, there's some surface. There should be some surface there on which the image is formed, and the image is formed so well. So that surface must be very clear. What is that surface? It's not an external surface. It's a mental surface. That is your mind. That's the mind where the image is formed. That mind which is non-tangible, which we cannot see now, which we cannot see, but the image is formed there. So there's an object there, the surface, on the surface of this, image is formed, image of the flower is formed. So that surface must be very clear. If it's not clear, the image cannot be formed. So the mind is referred to as the clear and knowing, clear. So it is clear. Without it being clear, you cannot see the image, number one. What's the second part? Knowing. Okay, now do you agree with me? Okay, before I go to knowing, the clarity. On this clarity, the clear or the clarity. Clarity in Tibetan, it is selva, selshin rikpa, sel. Selva means clarity or clear. And it has two connotations. One is that is clear and it is luminous. But who is selva? Light is luminous. It also has a connotation of luminosity. Luminosity. Okay. So in dark, can you see the flower? No. When you see the flower means that there's a light there. Right? There's luminosity there. So likewise in your mind, when you think of the flower, beautiful blue flower or red flower, yellow flower, whatever, and the image is formed, and you can see this, whether it's through your mind's eye, you can see this, the image of the flower, you can see this. So, unless there is a light, you cannot see that. So what is that light? It's not external light, it's a mental light, it's a mental luminosity. So this clear has two connotations. In Tibetan it is selva. Selva has two connotations. One is that the surface is clear, there's no dust, nothing obstruction there, where any image can be formed. One. Number two, that not only that the image can be formed, but there must be some source of light there. This light is not external light, it's a mental light. This is known as the luminosity of the mind. Luminosity. So, the clarity of the surface of the mind and the luminous nature of the mind, these two combined together are referred to as the clarity. Number one, clear. Next part is knowing. Knowing. On the mirror, let's say that you have a mirror and the mirror is so clear. You clean it, you wipe it so clean, it's so clear. Now the image is formed extremely vividly. Very clear images are formed on the mirror. Okay. So from that point of view, the mirror and your mind, these are very similar. But do you think that this mirror knows that the image is formed on the mirror? No. Whereas this mind, not only that the image is formed, it knows that the image is formed. It knows that the image is formed. Oh, the image is formed. Yes. Now I'm able to visualize the flower so well. Image is formed. You also know that this agent, what we call as the mind, it also knows that the image is formed. So it has these two elements. One is clarity in the form of the clear surface and the luminosity, and the knowledge, that is the capability to know something. And yet, that agent which knows it, what is that agent? You cannot see it, it's not visible, it's not tangible. It's not tangible. A non-tangible agent which has the quality of clarity and the attribute of knowing. There's a mind. Okay, so from this, yes, it becomes that's very true. That makes sense. But still I don't see the mind. Okay, the next point. How to see the mind? This next point. Okay, so what we do is that, the next is that, okay, again, sit up properly. Close eyes, but don't fall asleep. Close eyes, don't fall asleep. Okay, just visualize this blue flower. Okay, now your job is, after visualizing this blue flower, so this blue flower is the image. Blue flower per se. Image of blue flower is not the mind, but the image is formed on the surface of the mind, on the mind. So what is that surface like? For example, the mirror. When the image is formed, you look at the surface on which the image is formed. Likewise, the water body, when the reflection moon is formed, you see what is that surface like. Likewise, you just look for the surface of the mind, surface on which the mirror image is formed. In which case, you, first create this image in your mind, and then, don't focus too much on the image, but try to look at the surface. What kind of surface is that on which the image is formed? Or you try to observe it. Okay, good. Say for some of you, nothing comes. For some of you, maybe like the whitish color. So for some of you, maybe like a dark color. You may come up with different answers and experiences. Okay. The next is awareness of the awareness. Awareness of the awareness. Before we proceed through the awareness is awareness of the self. Awareness of myself. Okay. Again, go back to this meditation. Just visualize the beautiful flower there. Okay. My question to you is, are you aware that you are thinking of the flower? Are you aware of the thinking of the flower? Yes, I'm aware. Okay, who's thinking? I'm thinking. Who knows that you are thinking? I know that I'm thinking. So, what is the object? I, this person who thinks of the flower. What's the subject? I, who knows that I'm thinking of the flower. So, object and subject is the same. Object is the self, the person who thinks of the flower. And the subject is the person who knows that you are thinking of the flower. It's the same person. Okay, just think of that. First, I know that I'm thinking. I know that I'm thinking of the flower. Okay, what is that object? I, who was thinking of this flower. And what's the subject? Subject meaning the agent. Agent is this I who knows that I'm thinking. Okay, what's the difference of object and subject? Both are the same, just a self. In other words, yes, I'm aware of myself. I am aware of myself. Myself is I. Who's aware of that is I. So, object is I, subject is I. Stay in this experience. Okay. So while you meditate, I ask the question and you give me the answer to make sure that you don't sink into dullness. Okay, you think of first think of the flower in your mind. Good. And are you thinking of the flower? Give me an answer. Yes. Do you know that you are thinking of the flower? Do you know that you are thinking of the flower? Yes. So you are thinking of the flower is the object, and you know, who knows that is the subject. So are you happy that you are the subject as well as you are the object? You're happy? Yes. Okay. So here we see that object, subject, both are the self, the person. So this is, here the object is a person and subject is a person. Now you shift it to the awareness. You shift the awareness. Say, when you say I'm thinking of the flower, actually what things is your mind is thinking of the flower. You agree with me? Okay, just think of the flower. Is your mind thinking of the flower? Answer yes. Good. Now here your mind is the object. Is your mind aware that your mind is thinking? Is your mind aware that your mind is thinking of the flower? Yes. So that mind which is aware is the subject. So here, subject object both are the awareness. So here, there's the awareness, being aware of the awareness. This is known as the awareness of the awareness. Okay, now let's go back. We'll go from the beginning. We'll go from the beginning. Okay, now see if you can do this without closing your eyes. So thus far I told you to close your eyes to make sure that the image is formed. Now see if you can follow these steps through not closing your eyes. Okay, number one. Just think of the blue flower in front of you. With the eyes open. With the eyes open. Okay, raise your hands, those who succeed in this, raise hands. Who could visualize a blue flower? Good. Raise your hands, those who cannot. With the eyes open, who cannot. Dominic? You cannot? Okay, with the eyes open, can you think of Nico? Yes, no? Yes. Okay, then in your case, apply Nico. Use Nico instead of flower. Okay, good. Now what you do is that, okay, so with the eyes open, just see if you can visualize the blue flower. Okay. For this image to be formed, it's not outside there, it's somewhere, it's not outside, 100% is not outside. This image is not formed outside. But you can see that with your mind's eye, not with your eye consciousness. With the mind's eye, you can see this beautiful blue flower. So for this is not a real real flower. It's the image of the flower. Image of the flower means this image to be formed. The surface on which the image is formed must be very clear. Point number one. This is the explanation of the clarity. Yes, of course, the surface must be clear for this image to be formed. Not only that, I can see this image, blue color. For this, there must be some light. And it's not external light, it's internal light, internal luminosity. So there's also luminosity there. And this luminosity is not external luminosity, it's mental luminosity, mental clarity, mental luminosity. Yes, I agree. Next, unlike the mirror, however clean the mirror is, however clear the image is formed, but the mirror does not have the capacity to know that the image is formed. But in my case, in your case, your mind, as the image is formed, you know this mind knows that the image is formed. Yes, that's true. Okay. Okay, just take some time to think of the clarity, how true that is, which has two aspects: clarity of the surface and the luminosity of the mind. And the other side, the knowing agent, element of the knowing, quality of knowing. Okay, just try to work on this to make it very clear in your mind without closing your eyes. So once we're done with the meaning of the mind, clear knowing, we move to the awareness. One, are you aware? Are you aware as a person? Yes, I'm aware that I'm thinking of the flower. Here, there are two things involved, object and subject. What's the object? That I'm thinking of the flower. This is the object. Here involves the I. What's the subject? The one who knows. I know that I'm thinking of the flower. I know. A subject is also I. So here, the subject and the object, these two are one. Okay, just stay in this. Try to get some clarity of how you as a person is aware of you thinking of the flower. And work on this. I am aware that I am thinking of the flower. Object is I, subject is I. Work on this. And it must come to your mind vividly, very clear, distinctly. Now, when you say I, actually, this self is made of the body and the mind. So this mind is thinking of the flower. So now switch from the person to the awareness. Awareness meaning the mind. What is your mind thinking? My mind is thinking of the flower. Who knows that? My mind knows that. My mind, which is awareness, knows that my mind is thinking of the flower. So the object is my mind thinking of the flower. Mind which thinks of the flower. That's the object. What's the subject? My mind which knows. That's the subject. So that my mind is the subject, my mind is also the object. So this is known as the awareness of the awareness. Even though you may not get a clarity of what this awareness is like, don't worry, simply just observe with this the distinctive clarity in your mind that I am aware of myself. My mind knows that my mind is thinking of the flower. There's the mind knowing the mind. Awareness knowing the awareness. Awareness of the awareness. Stay in this experience. Okay, now the next phase is awareness of the awareness, the object. Awareness in the form of object. My mind is the object. That mind is clear knowing. Now awareness of the awareness which is clear knowing, which we done earlier. Same awareness. Awareness of the mind which was clear, where reflection is formed. The mind which knows, there's the quality of knowing. So now we are moving to the next practice. Awareness of the awareness, which is of the nature of clarity, luminosity, and knowing. So here, you try to just bring this image of the flower and see what is that surface like. Surface which is clear and knowing. Just try to see that. You may see something white, it doesn't matter. You may see something dark, it doesn't matter. Just try to observe what that is. Okay, we stop here. I'm going to again just quickly review what we did thus far, and then the Barbara says that the NCC at 3 o'clock, 3 p.m. So we have the NCC class at 3 o'clock, and in between, say that you try to do this practice, and if possible. Before you do this practice, take a good rest, quality rest. Whatever, be it power nap, or siesta, or say just rest, right? Make sure that your mind is well rested, because without rest, if you do this practice, you will instantly fall into sleep. Because the object is so subtle, you find it so difficult. And then it will go into laxity and into lethargy, into sleep. Okay, so what we did is first is just with the eyes open, visualize the object, blue flower or whatever, to see what the mind is, clarity aspect. Within clarity there are two, surface clarity and the luminosity, two. Just try to see. To see meaning that, okay, be convinced. Yes, without the surface being clear, image cannot be formed. If this comes to your mind, that's good enough, number one. Number two, that without the luminosity, I cannot see even outside objects. Without luminosity, without light, I cannot see anything. So without luminosity, this cannot be seen. So this light, the luminosity, can't be the external luminosity, but the internal luminosity. If you're convinced with this, stay there. This is how we have to build the conviction. In the process, your mind is being exercised. Your mind is exercising. It is luminous. It is surface clear. And also there is knowing nature. Mirror does not have the capacity, but mind does have the capacity. So initially it involves analytical, to keep your mind active, to get the object. Once you get the object, then don't analyze, stay there. That becomes a single point of meditation. Then the great teacher said that no meditation is a supreme of the meditation, which means that just stay there, don't do any analysis, just stay there in a relaxed state. In a relaxed state, just like you are just relaxing. That is the best of the meditation. No meditation is the best of the meditation. It doesn't mean that don't meditate is the best meditation. This is not condition. Many people explain like this. This is terrible. This is not how it should be like. So the point is that once you get the object, till you get the object, you have to put effort. Put effort. Once you get the object, the clarity of the mind, clear knowing nature of the mind very clearly in the mind. Once you get it, then stay there. Just stay there in this experience, this connotation. Okay, it'll take time to reach there. So for time being, say you try to get the object, and whether you get it or not, it doesn't matter. Try to stay there for a while, or keep observing it, what it is like, and once in a while also keep eye on your mind to see if the mind is going lax. If it's going to relax, just come out. Otherwise, it will become a very bad habit. Okay. So, number one is the meaning of the mind. What the mind is, clear knowing. With the clear aspect, there are two things: surface clarity and the luminosity and the knowing. So these two things that it should be knowing. Yes, I know that. Yes, I know. To see if your mind actually knows that the reflection is from. Yes, I know this. I know the reflection from my mind. This is one part. Then the next part is awareness. For that, it's a preliminary. First, am I aware that I'm thinking of the flower? So there is the object is I, subject is I. When you say yes, then go to the mind. My mind, is it aware that my mind is thinking of the flower? Yes. Mind, thinking of the mind. Mind, knowing the mind to be thinking of the flower. Mind, knowing of the mind. So then move to the awareness. Mind as the awareness. It's just awareness. It's just the awareness. This awareness is aware of the mind. Awareness is aware of the awareness. Initially, don't expect that, wow, this is amazing, right? Don't expect that, right? It can be little, so I'm not getting anything, right? But this is how we have to struggle. And then once you say, yes, my mind is, my awareness is aware of my own awareness. When you get there, then go to my awareness is aware of my awareness which is clear in knowing. My awareness is aware of the awareness which is clear in knowing. Go there. So meanwhile, I just try to go to the reflection of the image of the flower and the surface. Keep watching the surface. Are you aware that you are watching the surface, which is actually the mind? Yes, I'm aware. Then keep watching it. And gradually, your mind will become, gradually the salt, like taking salt, somebody who takes like 20 milligrams of salt, then when you are given the 5 milligrams of salt, you will see no salt. And every day you give just 5 salt, and gradually the person will start to taste the salt. You agree with me? Yes. So gradually you start to see the mind, which is very subtle. Otherwise we never saw before. Now we start to see this subtle mind. But for that matter, your meditation, the mind must be extremely fresh and so well rested. And if you really want, okay, so the point is that we should have the preliminary practices all intact. But there's no harm for us in knowing these, how to do these methods and so forth. They are very precious. There's no harm in doing this. But later on, if you really want to specialize, then you have to fulfill all the preliminary practices. Okay, we'll stop here. Deyata Om Gate Gate Paragate Parasam Gate Bodhi Swaha Deyata Om Gate Gate Paragate Parasamgate Bodhi Swaha Tyata Om Gate Gate Paragate Parasamgate Bodhi Swaha